Vectorman was an ambitious and late release on the Sega Genesis. It hit retailers in October of 1995. That's right after the launch of the Sega Saturn and the Sony PlayStation. Much like what Nintendo had done the year before in 1994 with Donkey Kong Country, the goal of Vectorman was to extend the life of the ever-successful Sega Genesis. The main appeal of Vectorman was the game's stunning graphics, and believe me, they were stunning for their time. The other thing Vectorman had going for it was its killer gameplay, which was directly aimed at pleasing the hardcore Genesis crowd. This over-the-top run-and-gun shooter did not disappoint. So, how does it hold up nearly 20 years after its original release? Well, for the most part, Vectorman does not disappoint today either. It's an extremely enjoyable game to play that takes about 10 seconds to learn. You have a jump button and an attack button. That's it, that's all. Vectorman can perform a double jump at any point in time and can destroy countless enemy robots in its path with his trusty blaster. Vectorman has the ability to shoot in all 8 directions too, making him a true force to be reckoned with. Throughout each level, you can destroy computer screens, which will give out a power-up, usually either a life bonus or a weapon upgrade or a transformation ability. That's right, Vectorman has the ability to transform into a variety of different forms, including an aquatic-looking creature that allows him to swim extremely fast, and a spin-top drill thing, which allows Vectorman to gain access to areas that were previously locked. You need to make use of all of these power-ups in order to find all the secrets in each level, of which there are actually quite a few. Once you complete the stage, you're scored on how many sparkles you found and how many screens you destroyed. And this is all great because it increases the game's replay value. The level design is fun and encourages exploration. It's nice that the backgrounds represent new areas, even though some of them do feature some recycled elements. For the most part though, you'll be blasting your way from one stage to the next. Speaking of stages, there are 16 stages in total, and while some are extremely short, the entire game is challenging enough that you won't be finishing this one on your first sitting. There are 3 different difficulty levels you can select from, so once you get really good at the game, go ahead and increase the challenge and see how far you can make it. I find it interesting that there isn't a battery backup to save your progress or even a password system. Vectorman apparently is all or nothing, which some players might find a bit frustrating. With enough practice though, you shouldn't have too many problems making your way through the game. I know a few people would chime in here if I didn't mention anything about the story, so let me go ahead and do that right now. If you're a fan of Disney and Pixar's WALL-E, you're gonna find this story kind of similar. The game takes place many years in the future where mankind has had to leave the Earth because of all the pollution and damage they cause to the planet. They leave behind Orbots, which are basically robots that are programmed to clean the world so that humans might one day return. Accidentally, one of the lesser Orbots attaches a nuclear missile to Raster, which is the high-level robot, or Orbot, that is charged with watching over the planet through a massive computer network. Raster eventually goes insane and becomes Warhead, which reprograms all the Orbots on Earth and prepares to destroy any human that returns to the planet. Enter Vectorman, who's in space when all of the Orbots are being reprogrammed, and that's why he's not affected. And when he lands and comes back to Earth after transporting his sludge to the sun, that's what he does, he basically realizes what's going on and he locks and loads and takes aim at Warhead. He wants to take the planet back. See? It's pretty much exactly like WALL-E. The graphics are the real star of the show here. The Genesis was not supposed to be able to do everything you see here. The animations alone are absolutely incredible and are easily some of the best ever on the system. Everything is locked at a rock-solid 60 frames per second, and damn does it show. It's one of the smoothest games on the platform. It's also amazing when you realize just how much destruction and explosions are going on at any given moment and with no slowdown. There are also some fun and impressive looking bosses in the game that will surely delight run-and-gun shooter fans. The whole game's a real showstopper. The soundtrack, while not nearly as memorable as something like Revenge of Shinobi or Streets of Rage, is very upbeat and techno-inspired. It fits the setting of the game perfectly and will keep your adrenaline pumping as you make your way through the game. I can't really say much more than that, and well, I consider that a good thing. Vectorman was a really fun and surprisingly popular game. I say surprisingly only because so many people had already moved on to the PlayStation and Saturn by this point in time. Only the diehards played this game when it was new, and boy were we the lucky ones. The game holds up very well today and is well worth checking out if you have access to either a Genesis, the Wii's Virtual Console, or any number of the collection or compilation discs Sega has put out over the years where Vectorman was included on the disc. This is a really fun game and my favorite of the two games released in the Vectorman series. I'll cover Vectorman 2 next week, but I never really enjoyed it quite as much as the original. Considering Vectorman was quite the hit, Sega made quite a few copies of the game, and that means it's pretty easy to find for a good price. If you hit up eBay right now, you'll see what I mean. You can buy a brand new copy for around $40 at the time of this recording. Whatever you do though, go check out Vectorman on the Sega Genesis.